Hello, everybody. Long time no see, but I've just won my first ever local over the board chess tournament, and I wanted to go over the game. Um, I'm not gonna go over the opening in too much detail. It's a Benoni. You're just gonna have to earn those stripes yourself. But I'm definitely gonna explain the reason why I played every single move. So I think it'll be really interesting. Let's check it out. I was with the black pieces and slightly higher rated than my opponent, but he was much older than me, so I knew he had years of experience, and he had a FIDE rating of 1600, so definitely not someone to mess with. I go with my tried and true old Benoni. He plays the best move. I attack that pawn. He deviates from theory already, thank God, because the mainline Benoni can be really tough to play sometimes. So he deviates with knight c3. Typically, you're supposed to play c4 just to really protect the d4 pawn. With this, I can kind of swap it off and have an easier game without that pawn there. So let's see. He brought his other knight out. I swap the pawn. He takes. And here I play a really, really stupid move. I play this is the most kindergarten chess move I've played in a long time. Going for cheap tactics. But I played c4. And it's a bad move. Opponent can just play e4, c3, blocking this check. But the idea is to pick up a piece really early and with this queen check, hitting this knight. But there's a lot of ways white can avoid this. He could just snap, really just playing hope chess here, and it would have been a lot better to just develop a piece in some fashion. Or not there, but maybe bishop e7 or even g6. So luckily, thankfully, he plays a not-so-good move with bishop f4. And this allows me to get my check, and he has to play knight c3, basically, in order to save his knight. So here's where I go stupid again. I'm still in kindergarten mode here, but I swear it gets better afterwards. Here I play knight e4. Really, the position is just demanding I get a piece out somewhere. Do something. Just get the pieces out. But I'm playing with two pieces for some reason, so let's hope it works, which it doesn't. Opponent finds the best reply, which is queen d5, hitting the knight and offering a queen trade. And there's really nothing else for black here. This move, queen d5, just kind of absolves all the problems. You can't take on c3 because the queen hangs, and the knight's hanging, and there's not a good way to defend it at all. There's nothing really. Computer's not giving me anything, but maybe knight c5. No, that loses a pawn. That's +3 for white, so really only queen takes is possible. So here I'm pretty bummed out. I've completely lost any chance I had of having an opening advantage. White has three pieces out, a great knight. He's threatening a fork on c7. Doesn't look good for black. But luckily, I turn on the jets finally and get out of my kindergarten mode and play a few good moves. Play some only moves-ish. First, you got to defend the fork. Got to keep this rook. Why not? He defends, or mostly attacks this pawn, prepares to develop his bishop, which never moves, by the way, very interestingly. I play b5, defending the pawn, and he plays best move, going after this pawn chain instantly. Trying to just break through everything I have, get all his pieces in the game. It's not looking good. But luckily he sort of misplays this, and I somehow get a ton of counterplay, which we'll see. So I play bishop b7. And that was another great point of b5, defending this pawn, was that it opens up this bishop to do something, because things were not looking good for that bishop if we didn't develop as quick as possible. He takes, I take, and he takes. He's won a pawn. But he took with the wrong piece. Taking with the rook here is much better because of the tactic that comes up next. I play bishop b3 check, because you can't play c3. Well, you can. It's actually the second best move. But you can't play c3 because of the threat of knight takes c3, and you can't take back because of the bishop check, the bishop fork, winning a rook. So, but there's also a deadly knight discovered check on c3 if you don't take. So it's not looking too good. So opponent plays the best move, king e2, which is a tough move to make, but props to him. And here I just go berserk and play a really stupid move, but luckily my opponent was nice enough to not make the best reply. I played c3, just trying to open up all the lines towards the king. I'm seeing that the king is really boxed in, and my minor pieces are actually kind of monsters now. Like, surprisingly, like, the king on e2 is so bad because the bishop's trapped, and soon this rook comes out after fire, and the knight and the bishop are just kind of hitting at nothing, while my pieces are just surrounding the king. So I've definitely created some dynamic pluses for being down a pawn. So here's the mistake for my opponent. He takes on c3, which is a wild move when simply b3, and this dark squared bishop's closed out the game, and I have no way of hitting this pawn really. The knight defends c2. Like, I think I just lose everything there. But amazingly enough, he takes on c3, and this is where I spent the majority of my time in this game, actually, calculating what to do in this position. Because I felt like a position like this, you really need to be fast, or else black's going to consolidate somehow, like develop his rook and get his bishop out and just be in a good position. But I knew I had some initiative here just by the position of my minor pieces. Like, I thought about the move knight takes c3 check, which is super interesting. The king either has to move into a discovered attack or up to d3, which, here, I'll play the move I played, but let's go down it a little bit. Or play this move, and I was thinking about this variation, king c4, but after rook c8 and king takes b4, I didn't see anything. So I took that move out just because it's good to have this move later, you know. Something I've learned a lot recently with chess is having some restraint with some of these good moves. Like, this knight is perfectly placed to pounce, but right now is just not the time to pounce. And this bishop is actually also perfectly placed to pounce. This check, if you notice, is unblockable. So if a bishop gets to c4 with this check, it's unblockable, which is very... it's a nice trick to have up the back pocket. So, and I also thought about it, but after this, I didn't see a way to win. I enjoyed keeping the bishop c4 in the back pocket, and it does benefit me, as we'll see. But let's go back to the main move. The reason I chose bishop takes c3 is because, for one, it comes with another tempo. So this rook has to move, essentially. And everything that I just highlighted about the last position is still possible. Like, the knight's ready to jump in. The bishop's ready to check. So, and we actually enjoy having the king on e2 because we know that bishop's not getting out anytime soon. So, because black would love to get this bishop out and maybe get the rook out and castle, but we got our hands around his neck right now, positionally. So I take, and then he goes after my bishop. I calmly slide back, hitting the rook again. The rook's actually trapped if it goes to any square, except back to a1. There's a fork on this square. Bishop defends this square. Gets pinned on this square. Gets forked on this square. So the rook actually has to go back to a1, which is pretty interesting. And here I play a move which I thought was really good too, which is the calm rook c8, bringing my rook into the game with the tempo on this pawn, because the pawn's hanging, and if I get this check off, then black's not going to be a happy camper. So black's kind of forced to play knight d4, defending the pawn. And then Oh yeah, I hit the after he plays knight d4. I ask him what he's gonna do with his rook again, and once again there's still forks on these squares. Like I can move here with tempo and then get a fork. So he decides to go here, and I was praying he would go here because I was setting up a dirty trap this entire time with just based on the position of my minor pieces and understanding that this check is so strong against the king. If you notice that this square is not going to be available to the king in the future, so I set a nasty, nasty trap. Obviously, it's not forced or anything, but I played the psychological game on this one. So this entire game, I think we only have 20 minutes left each. It's a 70-10 delay. So that means we'd each use like 50 minutes up to this point in only 19 moves. It's been a very interesting game where I have these great minor pieces and white wants to untangle, but I haven't let him so far. And so I switch pace really fast and play this move, my next move, extremely fast. I play g5. And he's surprised by this. It's kind of just a one-move threat. Obviously, pawn's defended by the knight, so he's going to have to move his bishop to either g3 or e5 probably. e5 looks nice because it hits the rook, right? And maybe forces the rook to move or forces me to castle, which is actually the best move after bishop e5. Bishop g3 is the best, but he plays bishop e5 because it looks pretty logical. And then here, once again, I instantly play my move, and I play g4. And it looks like I just hung my rook, right? And I actually pretended during the game that after I played g4, I instantly looked down and saw the rook was hanging, and I grabbed my head in anger. But it was all just a ruse because grabbing the rook is checkmate for black. So and guess what? He instantly took the rook. And as you can see, computer just turned black. All the moves I'd been thinking about before, like this knight move, I didn't bring it up, but mainly starting with this unblockable bishop check that I'd been keeping in my back pocket the entire game. This move wins me the game. And also, the point of g4 was to block the king's final escape square. The idea of getting the tempo on the bishop, baiting him into attacking my rook, and then quickly playing g4 to trap the king was, I thought, a pretty nice idea and a cool way to win my first chess tournament. So if you don't see the mate from here, king c1, and this pawn is now undefended, and the king is beautifully out of squares, entombed by his own pieces and my two beautiful bishops. We have a smothered mate with knight takes f2. And that was how I won my first chess tournament. Hopefully a few more to come. It's been a great chess journey. My current OTB record is 14, 4, and 11. So I'm in the positives now. Started my career with a draw and 4 losses in a row, so that was pretty eye-opening to see how different OTB is compared to just online blitz, 5-minute games, 3-minute games. But it's been fun. If you have any questions about the game, any comments, leave a comment, leave a like. Thank you.